strange simply because, like you say, like the gaffer says, if you haven't got the players around you, like you got their player, then your player in front of him trying to mark, it's brilliant for you. And if you look where he is, he's got so much space here, but he's gone over there to push. You think to yourself, no, just come back here, because from where Merino would have headed that, he probably would have caught it. Because it's such poor goalkeeping at this level. It's not good enough.
Also, Ian, no one does it. No one does it anymore. But you put a player on the back post, he clears it.
Yeah.
There's so many goals going the back post, and you think, why don't you just put one player there? You're defending your goal against the goalkeeper. Against the
might as
corner.
well do it. You could do it. Look.
Yeah.
You got Neto who could have picked up number 6. I know it's Gabriel, but if you've got somebody at the back, you should say, if you find yourself here, anyone, and the ball comes in down the back post, just as insurance. So from where you can see the player at the back there, whoever it was, there he is, number 4. Is that number 4, number 6? Whoever number 6 there, should have just backed off onto the back. Yeah, Levi Colwell.
Colwell should have
just go on the back post. That's natural as a defender. Once the ball's coming in, for you to just naturally go towards the goal so you can stop that from going in. A lot of mistakes there.
Yeah. Catalogue by the sounds of it, from Chelsea's point of view.
Yeah, they'll analyse that. I was watching, because I was watching the next corner, and then Nkunku goes in a better position, still square on, not on the half turn, which he should have been, and it was a poor ball in, though, but he clears it, because he was in the right position in the front shield. No one gets across the front of you on that front shield, and if they're going to beat you, they've got to beat you over your head, so it's not a whipped-in ball. It's more sort of a floaty ball. Gives the keeper a chance, gives you a chance defensively. That's why you put a front shield in there. So he did the job a little bit better second half a couple of times, but it was really the delivery that was poor, rather than him actually being really switched on, looking at it at half-time, someone showing him and saying, you've got to be on the half-turn. You've got to see where runners are coming from. If you're square on looking at the taker, you don't know, and they've got to put that right. If you put an attacker back there, he's got to do the job. Yeah. He's got to become a defender for that corner.
Because like you said and rightly says, which is a really good point, is even with the goal, if you look where Mikel Merino headed it from, he actually was bending down to head it. So it's not like we're talking about a ball that's coming. If you watch when he comes in, and Nkunku if he just goes to his left, he heads that back out for another corner or whatever it is. Because when you watch how low this ball is, by the time it comes into Merino, once they play it on, here we go. Right, look how low, he doesn't have to jump, look. He's actually bending down to get it. So it's an easy one to actually clear.
Just looking at that again, I think Merino looks to go on the back of Nkunku, and he sees Nkunku just backing off and then decides at the last second, just nip in front. I think he saw a gap there, went for that gap, and then at the last minute, he just nips in front.
Yeah.
And that's the timing of the ball delivering. Look, let's have a look from this angle. We'll see it. He's having those little 50-50 back.
Yeah,
look, he runs it.
space,
he's going in behind,
bang.
Then he goes in front because that space is there.
Great movement right
all of a sudden,
Really good movement right in the depth there for him. Yeah. All because Nkunku's in the wrong position.
Yeah. But that's instinct that you were saying that perhaps until he was put up there, we didn't know that he had.
Well, the thing is, what we've seen is that he's a very intelligent player, because even when you do watch him, when he's linking up the plays, the way he holds it up, by the time it does get to him, I watched it again when they play PSV, by the time he gets it, he's so composed and knows where he's passing it. That's exactly what Arsenal need in respect of keeping the ball up in that third, is something that we don't do well, because we haven't got a focal point. And he's the one, Kai Havertz isn't that player neither, where he links the play like Al Merino can do it. But Merino can do it in a way where you can get there, because he will hold it and you can come and join him. And then all of a sudden, we're playing a bit further up.
And the other players will play to that strength when he's up there, because it's pointless, like you said earlier, trying to play balls in the channels and all that. He's not that type of player.
He's not going to be going off the back. It doesn't suit Odegaard, who wants to play that little ball, but it might suit other players that know that he looks like he can protect the ball. And when there's a midfield player, if you had a striker that was always going to protect it, you could make runs, and you don't think, is he going to give that? I won't make a run, because if I go and he loses the ball or it comes off him, they're breaking, and now I'm wasting my energy. I've got to track him back. ball into the front man, he's holding it up. You think, yeah, now I can actually support that play, and it goes to the next level then, and you're on the front foot. So that's important and that's what happens when the new player comes. You have to find that out. They didn't know that. Because Arteta's thrown him in up front, but actually the players are going, actually, he can play up there. We can make runs off him.
And I know what you mean. 1-0's never comfortable, but today was a day where you never really felt Chelsea were going to trouble Arsenal.
You did. You just feel like you could see, like I mentioned at the start, where Cole Palmer's not playing, where he would frighten me, just like Bruno Fernandes frightens you, because they can do something in the game now. Again, you're looking at a Chelsea side without Cole Palmer, they look very tepid, especially without Jackson, without Madueke, and then even if they had a Neto as well, them three up front with that pace, with Cole Palmer behind them, it's a whole different scenario for Arsenal. And a scenario I'm really pleased we didn't have to come up with today. But again, you know, you look at the way we were finishing as well. We should have done more to make it comfortable for ourselves. But Chelsea, they're not a million miles away. I think they need some experience in their team to help that young side. But then you do need something that's going to make sure that Cole Palmer can be able to express himself in the players that he's got around him.
They just looked a bit sort of rudderless. You know, they had no rudder to their game. They had no guidance. They had no feel. You never saw them sort of having a spell in the game where they had a pattern of play and suddenly they took the ball away from Arsenal. Arsenal on the back, no, that never happened once, really. With the lack of experience, particularly in the back positions, you'd have thought Fernandes and Caicedo, those type of players, they've got to get hold of the ball and take the game by we're under the cosh here a little bit. We're not playing well, 1-0. Let's keep the ball. Let's get back in the rhythm of the game a different way. We haven't got Palmer. We haven't got the players that we want up front. They're out, so we've got to slightly play different, and that never really materialised.
I was a bit confused with their midfield because I didn't know, because Reece James was in there a lot. So he's probably the 6. So next to Caicedo, or is he the 6? And then Enzo Fernandez. So I didn't know how they were going to. I didn't know how they were going to try and progress the ball because they haven't got the pace up front. They haven't got the players to play it through the midfield. So it was just going to be a matter of time. And if Arsenal were more ruthless, we could have shown them up for what they were today, because they were poor today, Chelsea.
Match and Arsenal's performance and Chelsea's performance pretty underwhelming. Is that how you would describe that?
Yes, but a win's a win. The 3 points were much better than the performance. It puts a 9-point gap between the two teams. Arsenal, in the end, went back and sat deep and absorbed what Chelsea did. Chelsea didn't really have a threat. I thought they were dysfunctional. I thought they lacked energy. I thought they lacked ideas. And they weren't sloppy in the end, Arsenal. It was about not giving up a chance. They didn't. They get the 3 points. You move on.
Chelsea just really struggling without Nicholas Jackson, without Cole Palmer.
Yeah, without maturity, I think. I like Maresca. I like that he's tough and he's no nonsense and he gives these directives. But you'll know this because we've both been senior players on good teams. You need a little bit of individuality. You need someone who can stand up to each individual player, to the manager. Sometimes there's a good give and take. By the way, I play for strong managers. There's a good give and take. That Maresca says, you can only play this way or I'll drop you. They need a couple of senior leaders in that team to just say, hey, don't play backwards. Yeah, but the manager said, well, I told you, and I'm on the pitch, and you do that. And so you need a little bit of that balance. They're still young. They're still a little bit immature. When it shows without Cole Palmer, as soon as he goes off the boil, as soon as Nicholas Jackson goes out, the team just doesn't have the same attitude, really.
Tim, this weekend, Maresca said that Robert Sanchez will be his goalkeeper till the end of the season. After that performance today, do you think he will drop him next, and should he drop him next?
I don't know. I mean, he backed himself into a corner by saying that, because then he's an erratic goalkeeper. He has another performance that is questionable, very questionable. And so if you said I'm not going to drop him, then he can't. Should he? I think maybe if you change, you get a little bit more stability. But I don't think their goalkeeping department is very good.
Which is better for you, Sanchez or Jorgensen?
Probably Jorgensen, just because I think he's simpler and more steady.
But not by much.
So what point to the problem as Chelsea as well? With all this money spent, Bex, you still think the goalkeeper situation, we're still unsure. I'm not convinced they've got a centre-back partnership that you can build on to be really successful. Top end of the pitch, centre-forward, even when Nicholas Jackson's playing. And as we've seen, when Cole Palmer's not on form, the team look like they lose a lot of creativity. So still a lot of questions, despite what, $1 billion spent.
Mikel, I think it's fair to say last weekend there was a sense of frustration, but this weekend, is there more cause for optimism?
Yeah, it was, because we went to Old Trafford, we drew, and we are all very disappointed. And that's the standards that we set now. And today, I think we deserve to win the game. I think we're better than Chelsea. Really not concede anything apart from that strange save from David, and we should have do much more, especially with the amount of goals that we regained in the high press. But overall, very happy. It was a very important game.
Nothing has been mathematically decided. We talked about turning the screw before today's game. How important was that turn of the screw?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what you want to do. We play a top opponent. It's really a joy to analyse and how they play and how Enzo has coached them, the quality that they have. But yeah, we can face any opponent. We know that on the day, and the team play with an unbelievable attitude. I really like that. And yeah, we go to international break. We're on it.
After that international break, you have another opportunity to turn that screw I'm talking about. I want to ask you, you've been at the team like Manchester City, you've been out in front for a long time. Can the mindset start to create a few doubts in people's minds? If you turn the screw again, if you're in the Liverpool camp, can the mindset change?
The only thing we can do is win our matches, that's it. And that's what we are trying to do. Against Fulham after international break, we have another one. Try to win that one. If we do, we're going to be in a better position.
Mikel Merino gets your goal today. There's been a lot talked about your strikers, but you seem that you're finding a way. What is it that he shows you that tells you about the attitude of your team and the way he's adapted himself to that role?
Well, that is very strange. Obviously, we had 4 of our top players out for many, many months, and that's for any club. Normally, I went through the history of the Premier League. When that happens, the results of those clubs, none of them in Europe. That's what happened. Our team, you know, they have an incredible resilience. They really want to do it. He's never played in that position before. His work ethic, how much he's trying to do, and on top of that, he's scoring goals.
How much of a nuisance is he in that striker position? Because, as you say, he's not a natural striker by trade, but he's making life difficult for people.
Very difficult, and he has other qualities. When he's set in the box, he's a really dangerous player. He can help us on that, on set pieces. When we have to attack at low block, when the opponents are really high press as well, his movement, he's intelligent to fix people, to bring people in the game. He's top, so really plays, because even physically, it's a very different game to play as a 9. The way he's adapted and his work rate, phenomenal.
Goal comes from a set piece today. You'd made set pieces a speciality in the early part of the season, but lately the goals had dried up from them. So how big a positive was it to see a goal come from that? Very good. It would generate again belief that we can do it again. It was a good goal, and yeah, you want to be a threat from every phase of play, and if we have that weapon as well, even better. Just finally, you mentioned the international break. Bukayo Saka, after the break, you talk positively about him.
I'm in.
You're in. You're still here. That's the important thing. Has he got a chance?
Yeah, he's got a good chance, yeah.
Good on you. Well done.
Indeed. And as you said, Wright, they found a way,
Yep.
and they've got a set play goal again.
Yeah, which, judging by the way we were finishing today, it probably needed to be a set-piece goal, but again, the ball in from Martin Odegaard was something that, if we're going to really be critical about it, it should have been cleared. But in the end, they won the game, which is great. But I was a little bit more disappointed in the fact we've got to try and do more in respect of scoring goals. Because like once it's 1-0, Gaffer, as we all know, it's never done. But like we're just fortunate that Chelsea was so poor today again.
Yeah, no, very much so. I think they did enough, Arsenal. I think it was one of those performances where if you perform like that, they could have easily, against a better opposition on the day, probably would have lost the game maybe, because they were pretty ordinary themselves. But the set play has come up trumps for them. A slight change in what we said before. They hadn't scored for some games now from set plays where they were very successful, and they just changed it. They all went to the near post, caught Chelsea out a little bit, and the goalkeeper started getting engaged in the players that were around him, which he shouldn't have done. And they end up, that's the difference between, no points and getting the 3 points today. And it wasn't a great performance from Arsenal, but they'll be absolutely delighted. Play that average and win. That's what you need at this stage of the season. Yeah. Just to keep in that race, like we spoke before the game. You've got to still be in the race, just in case Liverpool do trip up.
Are you pleased with Mikel Merino? Because, as he said, I haven't played as a striker since the age of 8. He's been asked to do a job, and he's weighed in with a few goals now.
He has, and it's been brilliant for us because, again, you know, you've got somebody who's coming in and trying to fill a role, like we've seen Kai Havertz do so well. But what's good about Mikel Merino in that area as well is that his touch and his link-up play is very good as well. And he is that focal point just in case you do want to go long. But again, the goal he scored today was because it came from a set piece. It's not like in the game he was like, as a forward, he was dangerous or anything, but he was a focal point in the body that caused them problems for us.
He's played there 7 times now in all competitions. He's got 4 goals.
Brilliant.
I mean, from a midfield player who's not played up there to, you know, it's totally foreign to him, really.
Well, it is really, but that's a massive plus for the manager. It's almost like the manager said, well, we'll see how he does. Might have to pull him out after 2 games, but he's affecting the game in such a positive way. Sometimes as a man, you think, oh, that's another string to my bow.
Yeah.
And next time that happens, maybe next year possibly, oh, we can play him up front. He knows how to, he's done it before and he's done a really good job. And as Ian says, he's not a centre-forward really that you expect to be getting on the back of people and getting in behind, but he does it in a very subtle sort of way. The header was a clever header, actually. I mean, that could have been a number 9 type of header, wasn't it?
The way he made the move for it as well.
I don't think he's just flicking that either to the back post, because he knows they've all gone into the near post. And I think the set play wasn't about making runs from there round the back and getting to the back post for a flick on. He actually guides that into the back post. I think it's a really clever header.
Yeah.
He's almost flicked his head at it towards goal rather than just a straight flick on so that you get a second ball. But we studied, you know, Nkunku's position there. He's just got to stay there, look over his shoulder. A centre-forward going back, not knowing what to do really in that position. As the front shield, you don't let anyone across the front. And what does he do? He just comes back towards the pack of players and he just gets in front. It's a great header.
Yeah, it is a great header, but again, you know, it's attention to detail from Nkunku's point of view because the manager's put him there for that specific reason. And that's cost them the game. But again, you look at it, and I would say like Merino's movement off of Reece James was great movement and the ball was perfect. Only because Nkunku didn't do his job.
Yeah, I think it was clever of Arsenal just to change, just have a little change up. That caught Chelsea maybe. We analysed Sanchez as well, getting involved in the players. Why is he going there? He's getting dragged across to the near post.
Yeah.
Look, he's pushing someone there. I don't know who's pushing.
Should be back on the line there, Gav.
As a goalkeeper, Ian, I'm thankful that there's an in-swing and I've got no one round me.
Yeah.
So I'm coming away, I'm pulling away from them players. I don't want to get engaged in them. If like you put 3 players around him and it's going to be an in-swing, as a goalkeeper, you're not happy. Where he's thinking, really, I'm standing there thinking, yeah, great, I've got no one here. I'll come and punch that. I'll do whatever I need to do. He actually saves it if he's in the right position.
It was.
Mikel Merino's header was the difference as Arsenal strengthened their grip on second place in the Premier League table with a 1-0 victory over London rivals Chelsea at the Emirates. A first half dominated by goalkeeping gaffes at both ends went the way of Mikel Arteta's troops, who assumed control of the game from the off and ended their Premier League set-piece drought through Merino's near-post header. However, the Gunners could not capitalise further on the increasingly suspect goalkeeping of Robert Sanchez, and Chelsea finally managed to string some passes together towards the end of the opening 45, where David Raya counted his lucky stars after Marc Cucurella's volley squirmed underneath his body and trickled just wide. Enzo Maresca's side, who lost Cole Palmer to injury the day before, were repeatedly found wanting in the final third during a sleep-inducing second half, albeit one that suited Arsenal down to the ground as they ended a 3-game losing run in the top flight. As well as going 9 points clear of Chelsea, who remain in 4th spot in the rankings, Arsenal are 4 points better off than Nottingham Forest in 2nd spot and have cut the gap to Liverpool to 12 points on the same number of games. Not that Gunners will be expecting an extraordinary title comeback now. So many enthralling clashes have been played out between these 2 London rivals down the years, but Sunday's derby will not live long in the memory of either set of supporters. It was suggested that one moment of brilliance would be needed to settle the Emirates encounter given both sides' attacking absences, and while Merino's header was not exactly brilliant, it was no surprise to see the game decided by a set piece. Arsenal finally scoring from a corner again at least ended their run of 7 Premier League games without a goal from a deadball situation, but in a tale as old as Kai Havertz's hamstring injury, there was a total lack of ingenuity otherwise. However, the Gunners were fortunate that they came up against a Palmer-less Chelsea side whose toothless attacking display shared similarities with Arsenal's pass the ball around the box, make no inroads, play the ball back, rinse and repeat. A 4-game winning run in all competitions has now come to an end for the Blues, who cut tetchy figures throughout, as did Arsenal at times, and discontent towards Maresca's seemingly directionless playing style will only grow from here. It is 2024 all over again. Arsenal finally score from a corner. Martin Odegaard's near-post delivery is seemingly a bit too underhit for anything to come from it, but Merino manages to get a flick on, which loops over everybody, including a hopeless Sanchez, and nestles into the far side of the net. Whatever happened to sticking a player on both posts at corners? Had Chelsea done that, they would not be behind right now, but they cannot say it was not coming. Picking out a standout performer from Sunday's Bourfest is like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but one-time Bluesman Rice ran the midfield show yet again after saving Arsenal's bacon at Old Trafford. The England international won all 3 of his ground duels, putting in 2 tackles and drawing 1 foul, while also creating 2 chances and putting in 4 clearances to ensure victory in North London.